The Aldis podcast is brought to you by Aldis International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Josh Shubert. Josh is the Director of Engineering at Avenda Health. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hi, JP. I'm glad to be here.
So, Josh, let's start with yourself, please, as we do with all our guests. Could you give us a background of your journey in technology, from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way? Take us up to today as the Director of Engineering for Avenda Health.
Yeah, so for myself, I got my start in studying computer engineering, and along the way, I picked up a strong interest in medical devices and medical technology in general. So the next thing I did is I enrolled in a PhD program at Johns Hopkins University with the focus on medical imaging and medical robotics. However, I discovered along the way that I really wanted to work on something that would have direct patient impact, and I felt like I wasn't really getting that from the academic research environment. So the CEO of Avenda Health, Shyam Natarajan, kind of reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm working on this new technology for prostate cancer. Would you be interested in joining?" And for me, it was like a light bulb went off, and this is exactly what I wanted to be doing. So I ended up dropping out of my PhD program, moved across the country, and started working for Avenda Health as their first employee.
Amazing. Thank you so much. What a great call that must have been to get. So yeah, you're at Avenda, employee one. Tell us all about Avenda Health, who you are, what you do, mission of the business.
So at Avenda Health, I am currently the Director of Engineering. I started off as a software engineer and kind of grew alongside the company. Went from being a very small team in a tiny office to now in sort of the post-COVID world managing a team of engineers and scientists distributed across the country. The core mission of Avenda Health is to enable precision prostate cancer therapy, because today, for prostate cancer, the options available to men are not very good. It's either overtreat or undertreat. There's no option in the market today for a right-sized, patient-specific treatment. And that's one of the things we're building.
Thank you for that. Following on from there, there's a lot of AI at play in what you're doing at Avenda Health. Could you walk us through your role as the Director of Engineering, the responsibilities that entails, and how you and your team are utilizing aspects of AI to help Avenda Health achieve its overall mission?
So I think before I talk about the kind of specifics of my role and the AI technology that Avenda Health is developing, I'd like to spend a little bit of time kind of explaining the clinical context and explain the problem we're solving at Avenda Health. Today in the United States, about 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer each year, which makes it the most common cancer in men. However, the treatment options available for prostate cancer are not very good. So today, if you're a man who is diagnosed with prostate cancer, there's 2 paths you'll go down. The first path, if you are diagnosed with a low-grade cancer or like a small tumor, your doctor might recommend that you do nothing, that you come back next year and get checked again. While that may be like the best thing for the patient, if you imagine being that patient, being told you have cancer and also you should do nothing, it's not a very satisfying answer. But the reason for that is, on the other end, if you have a larger tumor or more aggressive, your doctor is probably going to recommend what's called a radical prostatectomy, which is a surgical removal of the prostate. And that's fine, like you don't need the prostate to survive. However, the surgical procedure itself has an extremely high rate of side effects. So the men that are getting this surgery are leaving the hospital with permanent erectile dysfunction, permanent urinary incontinence, as well as chronic pain that can come from nerve damage. And the rates of these side effects in some instances are 50% or more. All right, so it's like you do nothing and live with the cancer, or you get this surgery, ideally get rid of the cancer, but very high rate of side effects. And the reason why it's like this binary choice is because doctors are not able to fully see where the cancer is inside the prostate. And because they cannot see where the cancer is, they cannot create a precise, personalized treatment plan for their patients. And that really is what we're solving at Avenda Health, is finding or fixing that gap in prostate cancer care. We can now segue into how we do that. One of the key steps in the prostate cancer diagnosis workflow is a prostate MRI. So this is a high resolution 3D image of a patient's pelvis. And MRI is pretty good for diagnosis of prostate cancer. I think the recent stats are you can see about 90% of prostate cancer tumors on MRI. However, when it's time to treat the patient, you need to know exactly where the cancer is. The problem is, like, while 90% of tumors are visible on prostate MRI, on average, only a third of the tumor volume is visible on prostate MRI. So 2/3 of the tumor are completely invisible to medical imaging. So what Avenda Health does is we use AI to enable doctors to see that invisible cancer. So what we do is we've developed a deep learning algorithm that combines all of a patient's diagnostic data. So this will combine their imaging, their biopsy results, their pathology, demographic information, combines all of this data together and produces a 3D cancer map that shows the full extent of the prostate cancer tumor. And so with this sort of full 3D map generated by AI, doctors can then be like, oh, there's the cancer. Maybe I don't need to send you to surgery. Maybe I can just treat a portion of your prostate and you'll be okay.
Is this technology that's something that's in development, or are you already seeing it work? Is it being implemented by doctors? And if so, what are some of the results that you could share?
Yeah, so happy to share some of the results we've had. So since the software we're developing, which is called iQuest, is considered a medical device, it's regulated by the FDA, which means that before we're allowed to sell it and actually provide it to patients, it needs to get a regulatory approval. So this is something that we have been working on for a very long time, over a year, maybe 3 years in sort of active development of this technology, building off maybe a decade of research beforehand. So as of 2 weeks ago, we got official clearance from the FDA. So we're now legally allowed to start selling this product and using it in patients. So super exciting, huge milestone for the company. But in terms of how well does it work? So we recently did a retrospective study on 50 patients where we had full 3D reconstructions of their tumors. So we knew exactly where their cancer was. So these were patients that got the radical prostatectomy. Their prostate was surgically removed and then sliced up and scanned by a pathologist to create like a full, true 3D reconstruction of the tumor. So perfect ground truth for the study. And what we found is that when you compare the original sort of radiologist read of the size and shape of the prostate cancer tumor, that they fully identified tumors in 0% of patients. They actually never got all the cancer. But when you compare that to Avenda Health's technology, that we were fully identifying the tumors in 90% of patients. So these are almost like too good to be true results. Go from like, basically you're never going to get all the cancer to 9 times out of 10, you're getting all the cancer. It's really a phenomenal thing and really a huge step forward for the field. So we're so excited to bring this technology to the 300,000 men that are diagnosed with prostate cancer each year in this country.
You are listening to the Aldis Podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.aldis.com.
I want to talk a bit more about getting this to market in a moment, but I want to spend some time now talking about your role, your team's responsibilities, just how intricate the engineering aspect of getting this product to market is. Because whenever you're working with healthcare data sets, it's uniquely challenging. Can you walk us through what you and your AI and engineering team have had to do to get it to this point?
There's two big pieces to the challenges that we face, the engineering side at Avenda Health. I think the challenge we faced historically to be able to develop this product is it's all about that in the sort of urology space, because prostate cancer is under urology. It's a very fragmented ecosystem. Illustrate, patient suspects they have the disease, they'll go to the urologist. The urologist will send them to the radiologist to get an image, an MRI. And then they might go back to the urologist to get a biopsy. And then that biopsy gets sent to a pathologist who will look at it under a microscope. You basically have extremely valuable data points that are getting produced in different departments at the hospital, and each hospital may have different standards. So the first challenge we faced at Avenda Health was like getting these data sets from different institutions, seeing like what we could consistently rely on being there in the data, and then cleaning it, linking it, making sure that we had the highest quality data set possible to develop this algorithm. But that required a lot of manual work. So going forward, one of the big challenges is using software to link this fragmented ecosystem together, make it so that we don't ask the doctor to run around to 3 different departments at the hospital and get data, but make it so that all the data that is needed for our AI to function is like directly connected to the hospital network and the devices used in the diagnostic workflow, so that all of it is just there for the doctor. They don't have to spend their time with data cleaning or anything like that. They're just there. They show up, the AI output is in front of them, and then they make their clinical decision and can spend the rest of the time focusing on patient care.
Now that you guys have the FDA approval, this is obviously going to spark a surge of growth and a huge demand for the technology. When you look at the roadmap over the next 12 to 24 months, what is the goal? What are the goals? What are you working towards in terms of from adoption? And then with that, how is that going to impact your workload from the AI and engineering standpoint?
So I think maybe in contrast to traditional software products where it's kind of like grow at any cost, since the software we're developing, it's directly impacting patients' cancer care. The goal is to do it right. You find the right customers that understand the technology and are willing to work with us so that we can get really good outcomes for patients. And then once we kind of work through those kinks, the next step is to bring it to as many hospitals as we can. I think one of the big challenges there is like just the traditional software scaling, making sure our servers can handle all the requests from our customers. Our cancer map algorithm, it requires a lot of GPU compute, a lot of resources. So finding the optimal way to make sure that doctors don't ever have to wait for their cancer maps to be generated. But also what I was alluding to before, like we need this to get connected to hospitals' networks to save doctors time. But each hospital, each clinic is going to do things a little bit differently. So figuring out how can we add as many customers as possible while not making it so that we have to support 100 different permutations of infrastructure. So a lot of interesting engineering challenges there to make this technology as accessible to as many people as possible in a reasonable time frame.
So Josh, given this technology is such a step forward in terms of speed and accuracy for doctors in diagnosing prostate cancer, this is something that should be in as many hospital systems as quick as possible. I'm sure that's the plan for Avenda. If you guys get the message out there and the demand is what you would expect, that's obviously going to create a lot of work for you and your team on the AI and engineering side to build it and scale it. So if you guys are able to hit your milestones from a platform adoption, get into these hospital systems, what impact is that going to have to your team from a headcount perspective? What type of hiring are you going to need to make? And what sort of positions will you need to fill to support the scale?
Yeah, that will be a very good problem to have. So I've been with Avenda Health for 4.5 years now. And I mentioned before, we started very small. The engineering team's headcount is about 8 right now. So we're still fairly small in product development. If we're able to hit our milestones, like our team is going to need to expand like a lot, maybe 20 by the end of next year. And then hopefully if things keep going, exponential growth from there on. So we're going to need basically every type of engineering you can imagine: front end, back end, full stack, machine learning engineers, algorithm engineers, cybersecurity experts, because we handle a lot of sensitive patient data. So we need to build out a whole team. So it's going to be very exciting to finally see that growth, right? Because at a startup, you expect things to grow fast, but since we're in a regulated space, it's that growth can only happen after you get regulatory clearance. So I'm all for it. This is what I've been waiting for it to happen. So lots of growth on the horizon.
Well, obviously, getting the sign-off from the FDA is the biggest obstacle, which you've now overcame. Now it's just about getting it out to market as quick as possible. And I'm sure you guys will be able to do the results speak for themselves. Final question for me then, Josh, bringing it back to the team and the people who've made it happen and what you're going to need to do to continue along this journey. When you're speaking to your connections, your contacts and candidates about the work, the mission, the environment, the AI aspect of what's happening at Avenda Health, what is it that you tell people that gets them excited to join you on this journey and help you get this platform into as many hospitals as possible?
I think a lot of folks in the software industry in particular are looking for work that is meaningful, right? And one of the things that comes up time and time again when I interview people is just this utter disbelief that the state of prostate cancer is that we don't have a way to treat people precisely. 50% of men have permanent side effects. It's just, wow, things are so bad. And when I tell people the results we've had so far, our total company is 18 people and 8 on the development side, that we've had this impact with such a small team that if they join, you can do it too. And so I think that's the mission that people really get sold on. The code you write, it will directly impact someone's life. And a lot of startups like to claim they're changing the world. But at Avenda Health, we really mean it. Your code will be used to cure someone's cancer. And there's no asterisk on that.
Josh, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us. It was great to learn about yourself, your background, and most importantly, what you've built at Avenda Health. It's incredible. Congratulations on the recent FDA approval. And we really do hope that technology finds itself into every hospital system in the country and beyond that, because it's remarkable. It's surely going to help in treatment and hopefully save some lives. So we wish you, the team, and everyone at Avenda Health, best of luck in months and years to come. And we look forward to having you back on the show in the future.
Thanks, JP. I look forward to, maybe coming back on the show after our technology has been used on 1,000 patients to show that it actually is making the impact we're claiming.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Aldis Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.aldis.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.